show is also about venture capital. Investments, more specifically. It's Christian and Jesper on investing is the topic. Christian and Jesper are a bit like Madonna. They don't need a surname, right? You just know them, Christian and Jesper. They're investors, business angels, and you probably know them from the Danish version of the Dragon's Den. What you probably don't know is that they are partners in no less than 7 companies. So they know each other really well. They also know and can help you understand how do I get even closer to Jesper, right? Or vice versa. You know them. Your mother knows them. At least my mother does. And most of you probably seen them at Dragon's Den. But for this crowd, it's probably more likely that you've seen them at the latest award show. Because these gentlemen are regular guests. They're also juries, nominees, and typically winners at diverse award shows. A lot of them are actually here today. We have Seed Capital handing out coffee by the entrance with their Seed Discovery Day. We have Nordic Startup Awards at this stage later on. I'm not sure I've seen any of you guys get in the ring. There's like a boxing ring in the corner. Have you been there?
Yes, sir. No, not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Soon.
Yeah.
And Christian and Jesper bought friends today. Because they have Jesper, Firtal, which is the first exit of the Danish version of the Dragon's Den.
Hey.
Yay!
Hey.
Which is pretty cool. Do you know Firtal? No? It's several e-commerce platforms, Hvejsel.dk being the most prominent of them. And they just exited to Matas for a nice little sum of 130 million Danish kroner. And to my understanding, this is a massive return on investment, both when it comes to pace but also amount. I don't know if it makes Løvens Hule Dragon's Den compete with the international Shark Tanks.
We think, or the production company thinks, that it's maybe at least the fastest exit in the Dragon's Den, at least in Europe, and maybe also the biggest in shortest time. So there's some kind of a record also, which I think is quite cool, especially when looking at one of the founders here, Jesper, and the CEO from Firtal Group.
Very cool. And then we have one last name, Annette. Annette from CAP-A, a US and Nordic European venture fund. And I'm hoping with your Silicon Valley, Tel Aviv, Stockholm view, can challenge these angel experiences from the local perspective.
I hope so too.
Enjoy.
Thank you. All right. Hi, everybody. I hope you're excited to have really nice people on stage. And my first question is, was it more than 10x?
With the stock value, if that increases, because now it was mentioned that we sold to 130 million, which is true. But we also all of us got stock now in Matas, which is the new owner. And that stock has been undervalued. So we all believe, and also the biggest Danish banks believe, that the stock will increase a lot. So if the stock increases as we think, it'll be more than 10x.
All right. Well, congratulations to all of you guys.
Thanks.
They need a big hand of applause here because it's a lot of risk when it comes to this. And it's my understanding too that this was not really the pitch that you were giving. This was something that came up during the programming.
Yeah, so like most of entrepreneurs, we were started 8 years before we actually got into the Dragon's Den. And like most entrepreneurs, we thought we could do everything. So we had a side project, let's call it that. Like it's a razor blade sharpener. It's just a little rubber mat you can rub your razor over so it will be sharp again. And we were in, and I think Jesper clapped and said we did good. And then Christian...
I always clap.
Yeah.
You
And
should
then
motivate.
Christian pretty much said that it was a one-shot pony, and said he wasn't that interested, but he liked us.
No gadgets for me.
He liked us, and then asked about what Tommy, the minister that was here earlier, he asked what did you do other than this? And then we told them that we have an e-commerce platform, we're a digital retailer within distribution, retailing e-commerce stores. And then Christian was, okay, let's talk. And then
Now we're talking.
I think we talked like 5 minutes about Razorpit, and then an hour and a half about the e-commerce platform.
And Jesper and his partner Mikkel also told us that they already had realized 25 million kroner in revenue, and they had projected in that accounting year 42 million kroner in revenue. And that was when me and Jesper and Tommy started to sharpen our ears, so to speak. And then we said, I think just in that occasion it was me that said, can I get 1 minute to come back with a new valuation on the whole company. So these guys, they got 1 minute to find out what should the value be of the whole company aggregated, more than 25 million kroner in revenue.
What did you feel then? How did you feel? That minute was like do or die, right?
That was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever had to experience. We had at the time 20 employees, and what Christian didn't mention is that we were supposed to stand on the yellow X, stand on the X, and right there is a camera. You'll have a mic on, so pretty much you couldn't discuss. We have to think, what is going out? So we discussed for 30 seconds. So I think you said 20 million. We came back with 25, and
you said 30 first.
30. We came back with the 25. You stood on 20, and then we just decided this is the right thing for us, and then.
Good for you, because it turned out to be really good.
Yeah.
And this is 3 years later.
3 years later, yeah.
Yeah, and then so with this now exit that you have done, and what you have been investing together for a long time, or at least for all the seasons.
Yes.
What is the other greater things that you will invest in? Choices from the show or on the other side? Because like me, you probably get hundreds of prompts all the time.
Yeah. So deal flow is the most important thing for an investor, right?
Yeah.
If you have the deal flow, you have the opportunity, and that's what every seed investor is aiming to get into the mailbox. It took me quite a while to understand what am I actually investing in, and that's also important for me to state to other upcoming seed investors, because I don't really invest in products. I don't invest in services. I invest in people. That's what I do, right? Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing to understand, to invest in the human beings. They are the ones that needs to fight for success. And if you can invest in a very, very cool, super nice product, but if the people are not really trying or have the capability to push a product, then it doesn't matter. It will be a failure. So I have a pretty successful portfolio so far, right? And it's the people. It's the people that is driving it. So usually. I invest in them. And how do I see it? I see if they have a lot of fire, if there's fire in the eyes, if they want to work 80 hours a week, if they want to, if they have the capability, if they have the numbers right, if they understand the product, if they understand the market. There's a lot of factors, but it's them who needs to.
Can I elaborate just?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Because I totally agree with Jesper that sometimes the jockey is more important than the horse. With my own example, I today have around 22 venture investments, and I think in more than 50% of these, we today do something else than we did when we started. More than 50%.
But you mean pivoting, that they shift
exactly.
in the business idea.
Radical pivoting or less radical pivoting.
But it's also usually,
so it takes the right people to build the wings while it's flying.
But it's also, I believe that it depends on when the innovation is, when you're invested in the innovation, when they started to innovate and the idea came up, and then how the society is shifting. If you look into technology innovation and the patterns and usage and so forth, it's a whole different thing 3 years prior to. So like the exit comes now, I think it's just take it and then redo or do something else.
Also, you find out that the business model that you thought that would be your money earner or your revenue driver, it doesn't work.
No.
I have a board meeting it actually just started in half an hour when we finished here in Tatudo, where I was in from the beginning, and there we thought we'd be a crowdsourcing platform, but it didn't work out.
No.
So today we want to be something else.
Are you lending or?
we're landing more like kind of a mix between a Just Eat and a Trustpilot business model, and then also other drivers also. Yeah.
Right. You were mentioning about usually it's the jockey who's the better one, but I have a thing. I think there needs to be the 3 parameters: the track, because it's timing; the horse, because of the force, which is usually the entrepreneur, and then the jockey. You can be a really good jockey, but sitting on a really lousy horse, or a donkey, so it doesn't make you actually move quicker than you should do anyway. So it's like a combo. But I agree that the entrepreneur is super important. How many entrepreneurs do we have in the audience? All right, so it's about, and then the rest are capital, or who are you? Shout out.
Suppliers, banks.
All right, well, half of this floor
Lawyers.
here is entrepreneurs. What should they think of when they're innovating to trigger your interest?
A lot of factors. They have to have a good product. They have to have a team. They have to understand where they're going, how they're going, and how much money they need to fulfill the plan so that we have success. That's the most important thing. By the way, I don't believe in timing.
You'd never do that.
That's bullshit.
No. Why?
But I believe there's 3 things. The first thing is team. I just said about that, talked about that. Team is everything. The second thing is execution. Execution is everything. And the third thing is innovation. Innovation is everything, right? And you have to have a plan A, and the good guys have also a plan B and a plan C. Because I've invested in a lot of companies. I've never seen a company that had a plan A and went to the goal, went to the end with plan A and said, now we have success. Never.
True, but then also there is I'll challenge you a little bit, because there's timing is always needed to be able to pursue people's pattern of using things, not only technology. I do industrial technology, so deep tech, all the letter abbreviations that you can think of, because of the disruption on the cap side, on the cap A side, because we're doing VC. On my other side, I do innovation, and we have innovated so many things that we have then folded a little bit, have a plan B, and then bring back the first sort of innovation when time is right. Is that something that you see too, that you invest in?
One thing I see is that you create your own time. And the reason why I say that was because when I founded the first company that I was in the Just Eat one in the basement, by the way, in Kolding, no one knew about ordering food online, right? So we were creating our own space. We were first mover. It was blue ocean. That was our luck. But we created the time ourselves, really.
Of course, because then you shift the pattern, but you also have it ready. I would say that it's timing too, because the audience is ready to receive it. But it's like we can argue this for a long time. I know that Danes love to argue. I'm Swedish, and we do not want to argue.
Can I elaborate a little bit? I think also to elaborate on what Jesper said, and in terms of my own kind of viewpoints whilst investing, actually the Firtal Group and the investment in Firtal Group is quite a good case, because the team is important, yes, for the reasons I also explained, that you have to be able to build the wings as you fly. You have to have the passion also to put in the hours, because if you're not passionate, you're not going to put in the hours. But with this example, again, as you mentioned, Jesper, even though that Mikkel and Jesper were a good team, good guys, I wouldn't have invested in them if it was only the gadget.
Of course.
So for me, yes, the team, but you also, for me, you have to have a platform, a product, a service that is interesting for me. You have to look at a product, a platform, a service that is differentiated in terms of what is already there in the marketplace, that solves a problem in the market. And this you had done. Timing, I actually also think is important, because if it was today, if Amazon was just knocking on the door as they are today, when we were in Dragon's Den, could be another scenario, speaking of timing. And the third or the fourth thing for me that's also very important, that's me personally, is I like to see some kind of correlation to what I do already. So why I invested, the biggest investment ever in Dragon's Den, 2 million kroner in that company, was because of the revenue, because of the early traction, but also, and because of the team, but also because I already do food, I already do health. So these guys, they were running the biggest health platform in Denmark. So this I thought was
So they
interesting.
were complementing on investments
Exactly,
that you
exactly.
already have, and also interest. Yes.
And I think the last thing for me personally that is very, very important is to have fun.
Of course.
Because we are spending so much time in the products as an investor, we're spending time with work, and we need to be together with people that we can have fun with actually.
Yeah.
Right? So
That was the only thing lagging with these guys.
Yeah.
Right. No, but it needs to be joyful to actually be able to sit there during the long hours and doing all these whatever reviewing that we're already doing. And the interesting part with when you invest in early stage is that I have a 5 to 7 years or 10 years perspective, which is a very, very long lasting relationship. And if you longer than many people are married actually. So it's like you plan the divorce from the beginning. Hopefully it's going to be happy and everybody's going to get what they want. But I agree. Yes, what do you really...
Listening to these guys, I just wanted to say these are investors and your startups. The most important thing for you, Christian just said, is to look at your investors and be critical. Know what you want. I wanted someone who was passionate, who had a long line of experience, who was successful. I got it. We had other opportunities besides Dragon's Den, but I was looking, and we could have got a higher valuation, but that was not the target for us. We wanted, like Christian said, passion. Christian is passionate about healthcare. We wanted passion in terms of sales. We got that tenfold over here. And that's pretty much my main thing about getting investors, is look at the investors and do they have a real passion for this? If you're selling, let's say, deep tech or maybe fintech, maybe that's not your thing. But look at the investors and have a critical view of what else have they done.
No, because it's as important for you to also to work with people that you like and then you trust, and then also have the opportunity to continue to invest in your
They
project
need to share
or
your passion,
venture.
otherwise they'll not be there from the next round, and they won't tell the venture funds that this is a cool case, and you need to make them passionate as well.
And also, I think as an investor, you tend to gravitate towards people and investments where you also would like to spend some time.
Yeah.
Because we're all very busy, and you're all very busy, and where we want to spend our time is where there's an opportunity and potential, but it's also where there's fun to be had. Remember, Jesper, we looked at we don't want to mention it here, we looked at an investment from the last season of Løvens Hule, Dragon's Den. Actually, quite an interesting one. There was a benchmark in the US. They could take the European market. But we had the first meeting, me, Jesper, and Tommy at Jesper's nice house in Frederiksberg. And all the things that they showed us was actually really good. But after the meeting, we're like, can we see ourselves spend hours with these guys? There was just no energy. There was no passion. There was no fire in the eyes. So we actually said no. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
That's a good point, though, because that's also, it needs to be a 2 to tango, right?
When I do due diligence, the last thing, if everything is fine, check, the last thing I say to myself, can I take these guys or girls with me 3 days to Ibiza and have fucking fun?
He just came home 2 days ago from Ibiza.
If that's yes, I invest. Because it's very important to have fun.
We are going now to celebrate the exit. We are right now planning to go to Klitmøller to drink beers and surf and
have a good time.
To celebrate.
There you go. Yeah. We have actually a couple of questions. I would like the third one. How do you find sufficient time for all these different companies and investments that you've done then?
If I should start, I always like actuality hooks, because you can talk a lot about strategy or what you did 10 years ago, what you're going to do in 10 years. But what do you do right now? And Jesper and I just came from a meeting backstage where we discussed the exact thing. Because from Dragon's Den, but also outside Dragon's Den, the most investments had or made, in terms of syndication, has been between Jesper, myself, and Tommy. And now, as you know, our good friend and co-investor Tommy is now a minister. He was here in States 1 hour ago, I think. So we had a meeting with Tommy's director, Anders, who's sitting over there, about who should take over as lead on Tommy's investments. So we went through all our 7-8 mutual investments, and then we divide out who's going to take that investment, who's going to take that investment. So to answer your question, and to answer the question, very good question, the investments that we have together at least, we divide out who's lead. I was lead on Firtal Group, Jesper is lead on, for instance, Min Bedste Bog, as you might also remember, and others. So we divide out who's lead, who's driving, who's maybe also on the board on the different companies.
Venture management is a tough thing to also do when you're investing in a group, to make sure that you actually are also pushing the venture and the entrepreneurs in moving as quickly as you perceive that they should. So that's also something that is I think harder than most people think. Yes.
Again, I have to say that it's also your role. I had 3 investors. It's as much your role to draw on the experience that you need. Like Tommy was good at deal flow. He was good at making deals for, let's say we wanted to hire a new employee, and then Tommy could help. Christian was great in terms of remembering all the things we went through to the board meeting. Jesper was down a few times to give us, like, where we had maybe a slump of we didn't believe as much. It was good to bring Jesper in, but it was us that were the driver. We brought them in. And we sold to them that you need to help us now.
Which is a good point, that you actually asked for help when you needed it, or what you needed more expertise to.
It's quite interesting that Jesper once said, I don't know if it's true, that of course you divide the different things here. You probably ask us about sales and Tom about the strategy, us about strategy, him about sales. A lot of very mixed competences. But you said the most important thing you got from us was the ambition. Believing in that this could be a big company and that we could make a big exit.
I think
that was kind of
it's raising the bar for yourself, because when we sit in our own companies and we had 20 people employed and had good growth, we had what you call a BMW syndrome. Like, we had the car, we had the house, we had pretty much everything we needed, but we wanted to raise the ambition, and that's, you gotta keep on doing that, and these guys helped a lot with that.
So
he's helping again.
That's good.
But
that's my job.
That's the primary thing.
Thank you.
That we wanted them to help, and we asked them for the help, and that's what you gotta do, because they won't run your business.
No.
You should run the business.
Of course. I have another thing. So I spent 2016. I received a very nice fellowship for Wallenberg Foundation to Stanford and to the Nordic Innovation House. I don't know if you guys know about Nordic Innovation House. You have a Dan House in Palo Alto as well. In Palo Alto or in Silicon Valley, valuation is very, very rarely discussed. Usually you have convertibles and you have other vehicles of investment than we do in the Nordics, I believe. There's one question actually on the valuation. It's that the question person says that they feel that the valuation is lower in venture seed capital on early stage at Dragon's Den than anywhere else. Do you believe the same thing? Or is it, for me, I have an answer, but what do you guys say?
I haven't benchmarked, so I don't know. But if it's true, maybe. But I think you get more sweat and more passion out of a seed investor than you get out of a fund like seed capital.
Yeah, no, but I think this is more
that's
of
why
a
the price is
TV,
more sweat than it's the valuation and money.
I think it's also related to Dragon's Den. The question was that whether there's kind of lower valuations in the TV program than outside. And you can also use Firtal as a benchmark. Again, we got you down to 20 million valuation, but the real valuation was probably maybe 40. When looking at your key figures and so on. So I think it's probably
well, I
true.
mean, usually in early stage investing, if you don't have any revenue yet, it's easy to say that it's 40 million Swedish krona or 4 million euros, but just because other companies in similar areas are having that as an evaluation, but that doesn't set the amount that you're interested in paying.
I think it's an element, but what also comes into play is that we see the startups for the first time when they come down the stairs. If you've seen the TV show, that's the first time we see them. All investments are subject to due diligence, but still it takes a lot to get out of the investments. So we are investing our own money. We see them for the first time when you come down the stairs. So there's also an element to, there's also a risk.
Yeah, you have like an hour,
so
right?
we have a higher risk, you can say, than outside a normal TV studio. Plus, there's the added element, which is fantastic with this show, that you get to expose your brand, and that's also one of the reasons that you said yes to.
You wanted to
participate
say something.
in front of 700,000 people in
Yeah,
prime
yeah,
time.
no, that's tough.
When it's those low valuation that we are talking about, like pre-seed, seed, then either they make it or they break it, kind of, right? So for me, it's this one, right?
Yeah, it sits in the
It's
gut.
just a stomach feel, and it doesn't really matter if it's a 5 million valuation or 3 or 10. Either they make it or they break it. If they make it, the multiple is very, very high because it's a seed or pre-seed, right? So that's how I see it, actually. Maybe that's why I'm not a member of Mensa, I don't know, but but that's just how I do
No,
it.
but also I heard that you're the one who's the more aggressive on sales side.
I don't
So
know.
if you can sell it and you think that you can sell it and you
Yeah,
feel it, then obviously that's a drive.
For example, a good example is the 3 guys from Aalborg shaping new tomorrow. Do anyone have the jeans on, by the way? Yes, they're good, right? So that's a really cool story. They came in, their turnover was around 1 million a month.
Yeah.
They came on a Tuesday night on Dragon's Den, and that's very same day we made 1 million Danish kroner in one day, right? That was Tuesday. Wednesday we did 1 million. Thursday we did 1 million. Friday we did 1 million, and then we were out of stock.
Right.
That's also an issue, right?
It's good. Yeah.
So
yeah.
now they're doing millions of profit every month on one single market right now. We're trying to move to other markets, but you know, I put in 250,000.
Yeah.
Got 10%. That company will be sold at 500 million plus in 5 years if they're doing what that was supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So then it doesn't really matter about the valuation, whether it's 3 million, 10 million, or
No.
it's a stomach feel.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Stomach feel.
Good sort of thing. Even though I do a lot of DD, because I have LPs on the other side with Cap A, which is a venture fund. So it's also later stage. But we're really interested in Nordic innovation, industrial innovation. So we do invest for them to have an interest in the US market. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, just wanted to say that a lot of the cap tables made up in an investment is also made up of different people, different valuations. And I think the thing is with Little Dragon's Den is that you go in and you know who you want. You've already picked that I'm going after this guy or this guy.
Who did you pick?
I actually picked you 3. So
Good.
you know who you're gonna pick. You know which competences you're hunting. So it's as much as a conscious choice to go down in valuation to get the right partner. And
Right.
I think that goes with all rounds.
Right. So we have 3 more minutes. So I wanted to ask you guys, the investors first, the things that you thought, something that you thought would be really good that just totally failed. Do you want to start?
I'm not good at. I think I need to wait a little bit longer on exits than I've done in the past.
Yeah.
That have cost me some billions.
Right.
So I need to wait a little bit longer. Only 5, doesn't matter.
No, right. No, of course. But I agree. What about you?
I can tell you about the one that got away around 6-7 years ago. I made a brand together with a guy called Jose in London. Jose Neves, very good guy, and we were kind of friends and hung out, and we partied in London and Denmark. He visited me, I visited him, and we did a footwear brand together. And then he started to go more into tech, and I was also a little bit involved in tech, maybe 7-8 years ago at that time, in Smart Guy and other companies. And he asked whether I want to invest in his new startup.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I didn't really believe it. Okay, so you use the stock from all the shops, you aggregate into this platform, and the company is called Farfetched. And they're looking at making an IPO now above 50 billion kroner. It's one of 3 unicorns out of London. So I could get at that time, as I remember, I have the mail still, I think 10% at a valuation of 22 million kroner, which was a lot at that time. He just started, I thought the valuation was a little bit high. But you can do the math. Maybe there would have been some dilution along the way, but still, you know.
Right, true. But it's the
So,
same thing. There's a lot of those stories also when you travel in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I was approached to invest in Twitter or in LinkedIn or in whatever. So it's always something that you're going to
This was really, he was a friend, so it's not just like some pitch, he was, but, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have one more question. It says, what's the best way to approach you guys for a business pitch? For me, you can always approach me on LinkedIn.
That is to go into to Løvens Hule in November 2018. That is 1 month.
Apply for the
apply
Dragon's
now,
Den.
and we are shooting the 1st of November here in Copenhagen. So if you want an investment from me, you have to
need
go
to
through
do that.
You
So
have to
then-
go through the Dragon's Den.
Actually, I can just elaborate because we have one of our colleagues from the production team there that they have actually made an exception for the rule because the deadline has passed. But because of the great turnout here at the TechBBQ, you can still join Løvens Hule. As Jesper rightly said, we are shooting by end of
Do you
October,
agree?
beginning of November.
All right.
So you guys go to Pia and
Okay.
talk to her afterwards. So we have
She
an
has
exception
an
for the rule.
orange kind of
But I
shirt.
think on Monday we're
Mustardy.
close again. So go look
She
her up.
will go on the side there.
Very nice girl, and she used to be the girlfriend of the co-founder of Firtal Group.
Oh, that's a good one. So I want to ask you the final question.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now?
I'm gonna keep on being in Metas.
Okay, good.
We have incentivized for up to 5 years.
All right.
But it's pretty much the same thing. We're gonna be innovative and gonna be with the same team, and that's pretty much what I started the company to enable learning for a lot of other people. And
Good. That's the reason also why you guys should sell your companies to larger companies and then keep your innovation into the companies. Because backstage we were talking about Blockbuster and Netflix. Back in 2002, Blockbuster was approached to purchase Netflix for $50 million, which is not that much. And now I think it's like $162 billion value on the company on the stock exchange.
It's more.
So they should have done that, but they stuck with stores and CDs rather than going into streaming. All right, I think that's everything from us.
Yeah, one
do you
last
have a
thing.
final
They
thing?
say, why did you invest in pants? And the question is because they are fucking kick-ass. That's why.
There you go. All right, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.